Tonight, just ahead of the holiday travel rush, the dangerous storm churning up the East Coast. 60 million people under flood alerts. And the dire warning as the storm batters the Carolinas and now makes a slow march up I-95. In South Carolina, at least one tornado reported, along with life-threatening flash flooding. Up to a foot of rain falling just today in some places. Multiple water rescues as streets overflow with water. That same storm pounded Florida overnight with drenching rains and 50-mile-an-hour winds. Tonight, it's on the move, headed into the Northeast. The urgent warning for New York City. Officials advise residents to stay off the roads tonight. Rob Marciano times it all out. Also tonight, Israeli protesters plead with their government to bring the hostages home. Hamas says no deal without a ceasefire. And we go inside a Hamas tunnel, said to be the biggest one uncovered so far, reportedly reaching depths of more than 160 feet and big enough to drive a car. And fears of a new escalation in the Middle East after waves of drone and missile attacks in the Red Sea. Is the U.S. ready to retaliate against Yemen's Houthi rebels? The new warship moving into place. The tension is mounting as the world's largest shipping company suspends operations in the region. Synagogues under threat. Swatters targeting Jewish organizations across the country with at least 300 bomb threats just this weekend. The threats coinciding with skyrocketing anti-Semitism since the October 7th massacre. Trump doubles down just weeks before the first votes are cast in Iowa and New Hampshire. The former president is under fire after quoting Vladimir Putin, praising the North Korean dictator and echoing white supremacists. One candidate calling the Trump speech dog whistling. Respiratory illnesses are on the rise. At least 17 states report high levels of infections, just as many Americans prepare to gather for the holidays. Plus, a major recall, the serious health concern that has Quaker Oats pulling dozens of varieties of granola bars and cereals off the shelves in all 50 states. And America Strong tonight. Some children getting their wishes answered even before Christmas, thanks to the signing Santas.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us on this Sunday. I'm Lindsay Davis. Tonight, nearly 60 million Americans are on alert for heavy rain and possible flooding. Parts of the I-95 corridor could get up to 6 inches of rain. For major cities in the Northeast, the worst of the rainfall is expected overnight, making for a rough Monday morning commute. The storm is also bringing high winds and possible tornadoes. A confirmed twister touched down in South Carolina. Parts of that state are now contending with submerged roads and flooded businesses. Along the coast in Georgetown, first responders had to perform several water rescues. Take a look at these images coming in from AccuWeather. The same system slammed into Florida earlier, setting records for rainfall in some places. This driver, blinded by heavy rain, drove right off of the road into a canal. The storm comes as millions prepare to travel for the holidays. Rob Marciano is standing by with the forecast, but we begin with ABC's Morgan Norwood from Newark Airport.
Tonight, a powerful storm system now barreling up the East Coast, leaving parts of South Carolina under nearly a foot of rain.
It's a pretty potent storm, I'll tell you that.
A reported tornado sending a tree crashing into this home outside of Myrtle Beach, a gaping hole left in the side. The surge also transforming these coastal roads into rivers. And in nearby Charleston,
Matt, I don't want to go through this. I don't want to go through this.
Rising floodwaters forcing some road closures. AccuWeather capturing first responders rescuing stranded motorists in historic Georgetown amid a flash flood emergency. Cars swamped. Overnight, that system dumping up to 7 inches of rain across Florida, creating dangerous road conditions. Watch as this SUV rolls over a seawall into the intercoastal waterway. The driver, who says he was blinded by the heavy rain, expected to be okay. Tonight, that storm system now taking aim at the Northeast, just 2 days before more than 39 million people are expected to fly during peak holiday travel. Close to 500 flights delayed. That holiday crush starting now.
This is a bit of a rush, though. We've been waiting here for a couple of minutes, so we'll see how it goes, but so far, so good.
And Lindsay, as airlines prepare for this powerful storm, the city of New York is on alert as well. They've issued a travel advisory both for today and tomorrow. They've also activated their emergency flash flooding plan ahead of what could be a messy Monday morning commute. Lindsay?
Hopefully residents will take heed to those warnings. Morgan, thank you. Now let's bring in our senior meteorologist, Rob Marciano. And Rob, it sounds like this storm could really impact tomorrow's morning commute for some. Time this out for us.
Well, yeah, Lindsay, I mean, for as much as the storm is already done, we look for it to intensify overnight tonight into that morning rush. Look at the myriad of alerts that we have, including winter storm warnings behind this thing when the cold air comes in. But the flood watches and high wind warnings are up, and those watches go all the way up through New England. What that means as far as rainfall is concerned, widespread 2 to 4 inches of rain, 4 to 6 potentially here in central New England. That will cause some flooding. All right, this thing's going to kind of act like a tropical system, ride the corridor here, the heavy rain out in front of it, those bright reds. But look at the wind gusts in New York City overnight tonight. 50 plus eastern Long Island, parts of New England. That will continue into the morning rush hour, and then we'll start to see things break apart in the afternoon. The cold air comes in, the lake effect snow machines come in, and things begin to calm down. But as you go to bed tonight, you should be prepared here in the Northeast for the potential of some flooding and maybe some power outages as well. Lindsay?
All right, Rob, thank you. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says the country is committed to dismantling Hamas despite calls for a ceasefire. Thousands, including families of some of the hostages held by Hamas, rallied this weekend in Tel Aviv after 3 hostages were accidentally killed by the IDF. ABC's Ines de la Cuetara was in Gaza, where the IDF showed her one of the largest tunnels they say was built by Hamas.
Tonight, growing calls for a new hostage deal, with some of the hostages' families even setting up camp outside of the IDF's headquarters.
It's quite obvious the only way to bring hostages alive is by negotiation and by a deal.
This after Israeli forces accidentally killed 3 hostages on Friday. According to the IDF's preliminary investigation, Yotam Haim, Alon Shamritz, and Samir Talalka left a building in an area of very intense fighting, shirtless and carrying a stick with a white cloth. A soldier saw them as a threat and opened fire, killing 2 instantly. Someone later crying out help in Hebrew. Troops were ordered to stop firing. Another soldier shot dead the 3rd hostage minutes later. Today, 26-year-old Shamritz laid to rest. The Israeli prime minister now hinting hostage talks could be back on. Though Hamas says there won't be any negotiations until the fighting stops. Today, an Israeli airstrike hitting a school run by the UN. The injured rushed to the hospital in cars and in the backs of trailers. The wounded treated on the floor. This man shouting, "This is an injustice." Over 18,000 Palestinians have now been killed, according to the Hamas-run health ministry. We were taken inside Gaza, embedding with the IDF to see the biggest Hamas tunnel they've ever uncovered. A project they say was overseen by Mohammed Sinwar, brother of Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar.
You can see how deep this tunnel goes. This is something that would have taken years to build. The IDF saying this probably took millions of dollars, and they say they will be destroying this tunnel because you cannot destroy Hamas without destroying its tunnel network.
This as we learn of another hostage's death. 27-year-old Inbar Heyman killed in Hamas captivity. So far, at least 20 Israeli hostages have died.
Is this approach of going in by force and trying to rescue the hostages by force, is it working? We're learning, almost every day of additional hostages who've been killed.
We haven't neglected the negotiation, and it takes time. It's complex. As you mentioned, the civilians above the ground, we need to distinguish them. And we have the tunnels and the terrorists under the tunnels, and we have our hostages. And we have to conduct all of the above into our operation, and it takes time, and we will do it as fast as we can.
And tomorrow, Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin arrives in Israel as the U.S. pressures Israel to move to a smaller, more focused phase in its fight against Hamas. And tonight, at the U.S.'s request, humanitarian aid trucks now crossing into Gaza via the Kerem Shalom border crossing for the first time since the beginning of the war. Lindsay?
Perhaps that will allow for some much-needed aid to get in. Ines, thank you. There are renewed fears tonight of the conflict spreading as the U.S. waged strikes on Houthi rebels in Yemen after a series of attacks on commercial shipping. This weekend, American and British warships shot down at least 15 drones in the Red Sea. But some shipping companies are suspending operations in the area entirely. ABC's Britt Clennett reports from Israel.
Tonight, Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin landing in the region amid mounting tensions in the Red Sea. His visit coming after the US and the UK say they shot down at least 15 unmanned drones targeting commercial vessels. No injuries were reported, but this is the latest intervention in one of the busiest shipping corridors in the world. Attacks by Iranian-backed rebels have increased since Israel's war with Hamas. Defense officials telling ABC News Austin has been given flexible response options to threats in the region, adding that it's routine to be briefed on potential targets regularly. Just last week, the Pentagon announced it would be moving more warships into the region, hoping to combat what took place earlier this month when the USS Carney shot down multiple drones headed in the ship's direction. Or this moment when Houthis hijacked an Israeli-linked ship, taking its crew hostage. Now, major shipping companies are suspending operations in the Red Sea due to the increased risk.
Lindsay, there are still growing concerns from the US and Israel of a wider war breaking out. I was embedded with the IDF in northern Israel today, where there are daily exchanges of fire. They say they are very much ready, if the command comes through, to push forward into Lebanon. Lindsay.
Britt, thank you. Tonight, Jewish communities across the country are on high alert after a record number of swatting incidents in about 30 states. Officials in at least 2 states have arrested suspects in recent days, and the Anti-Defamation League is now investigating. The trend comes as anti-Semitism is surging. Here's ABC's Reena Roy.
Tonight, authorities investigating a record number of at least 300 swatting incidents targeting Jewish communities across the country this weekend. Today alone, Jewish facilities in at least 19 states and Washington, D.C. received bomb threats via email, according to the Secure Community Network. And at least 11 other states in the last week also experienced swatting when someone reports a non-existent serious crime like a bombing or a shooting.
Swatting is not a prank or a joke. It's intended to disrupt, harass, cause fear. And in today's threat environment, swatting is dangerous because it can lead to injury or death.
On Saturday, this synagogue in Alabama evacuated during Shabbat religious services due to a bomb threat.
People are on edge. They're nervous, and we're going to continue to reassure them that it's safe to come to services.
Experts say swatting incidents and bomb threats around the U.S. had already reached crisis levels before the start of the Israel-Hamas war. They're up more than 500% from last year. In recent days, law enforcement in both Ohio and California arresting minors for their alleged roles in separate swattings against synagogues over the summer. Anti-Semitic incidents also skyrocketing by 337%, hitting a record high of more than 2,000 reported cases between October and December, according to the Anti-Defamation League.
And tonight, ABC News has learned that investigators are looking into whether these swattings may have been conducted and coordinated overseas. Lindsay.
Reena, thank you. To Capitol Hill now, where a bipartisan group of senators is racing against the clock, hoping to find agreement on a border deal before their winter holiday. The impasse is holding up funding package for both Ukraine as well as Israel. ABC's Ike Ajachi joins us now from Capitol Hill. Ike, we've been hearing that there's progress. How close do you think they are?
Well, Lindsay, a group of Republicans is now trying to convince Senate negotiators to stall the consideration of that package until after the new year in order to get more time to review any deal that's reached. Now, a letter signed by 15 Senate Republicans criticizing the process has rushed secret negotiations with Democrats, calling to reconvene on January 8th when the full Senate returns from break. Now, Senate negotiators working into the evening hours tonight, still trying to reach a deal on border provisions. Republicans are demanding a deal on the border in exchange for providing money to Ukraine and Israel, a compromise President Biden says he's willing to make. Now, what's at stake? Raising the bar for asylum standards for migrants, changes to humanitarian parole, as well as fast-track deportation authority. Senate negotiators and Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas working together tonight on border negotiations. Senators expecting to work through the night and into tomorrow if needed. Lindsay?
Certainly a lot at stake. Ike, thank you. Former President Trump is doubling down on recent anti-immigrant comments that some are comparing to modern-day dictators. The Biden campaign and some GOP hopefuls are condemning Trump's remarks, but he remains way ahead in the polls. More now from ABC's Mary Alice Parks.
Tonight, Donald Trump under fire after he once again seemed to praise modern dictators and use language echoing that of white supremacists.
What he's doing is dog whistling to Americans who feel absolutely under stress and strain from the economy and from the conflicts around the world. And he's dog whistling it to blame it on people from areas that don't look like us.
Overnight in New Hampshire at a campaign rally, the former president and Republican primary frontrunner using rhetoric mirroring that of Nazi propaganda while attacking immigrants.
They're poisoning the blood of our country. That's what they've done.
Trump even quoting the United States adversary, Vladimir Putin, in an effort to mock his own political rivals.
Vladimir Putin. Has anybody ever heard of Vladimir Putin? of Russia says that Biden's, and this is a quote, politically motivated persecution of his political rival is very good for Russia.
In the same speech, he called North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un a nice guy. But New Hampshire's popular Republican Governor Chris Sununu, a, quote, spoiled brat. While Trump leads in polling by 25 points in New Hampshire, Nikki Haley is gaining ground. Governor Sununu endorsing Haley, saying he thinks she can best Trump and Biden. But many of these voters in Trump's crowd say they're sticking with him till the end.
Our world is united with Trump. He's going to close the border. He's going to put America first.
Now, the Biden campaign is out with a statement saying that Trump is running on a promise to rule as a dictator and accusing him of looking up to authoritarian leaders and Nazis as role models. Lindsay.
Mary Alice, thank you. Tonight, South Korea is urging the U.S. and Japan to maintain their readiness after North Korea fired a short-range ballistic missile. South Korea says the missile landed in the sea. This weekend, the U.S. and South Korea issued a warning that any attack on the U.S. or its allies would lead to the end of the North Korean regime. And there's still much more ahead here on World News Tonight this Sunday. Quaker Oats is recalling granola bars and cereals that could be linked to a serious illness. And the dynasty in women's volleyball, who just won back-to-back championships. Next tonight, respiratory illness activity is on the rise across most of the country, just as many families are preparing to gather for the holidays. 17 states plus New York City are experiencing high or very high levels of infections, which include flu, COVID, and RSV. Health officials are urging people who are sick to stay home and recommending that everyone get vaccinated. Quaker Oats is announcing a huge recall of granola bars and cereals in all 50 states. The company says they could be contaminated with salmonella, which can cause fever, diarrhea, and vomiting. There have been no confirmed reports of illness related to the recalled products at this time. You can find a full list of the products being recalled at FDA.gov. When we come back, hail to the champions in women's volleyball and the big shakeup at Jeopardy. Who's in and who's out as host? To the index now, the syndicator of Jeopardy confirms Mayim Bialik is out as one of the hosts of the game show. She began hosting Jeopardy in 2021 and received an Emmy nomination for the role. On social media, she posted that she's deeply grateful for the opportunity to host. Sony Pictures Television says Ken Jennings will remain as sole host to maintain continuity for viewers. Another milestone in Paris in the reconstruction of the Notre Dame Cathedral. Workers hoisted a new weather vane in the shape of a rooster onto the spire. It replaces the weather vane that was damaged in the devastating fire back in 2019. The rooster is a national symbol in France, and this one features wings of fire to symbolize the cathedral's rebirth from the ashes like a phoenix. The church is set to reopen next year. And meet the new champs, same as the old ones. After Asia O'Neill's ace today, the University of Texas became back-to-back champions in women's volleyball. In the match aired right here on ABC, the Longhorns beat top-ranked Nebraska in straight sets. Some serious bragging rights tonight in Austin. And when we come back, why a visit with Santa just became extra special. Finally, a St. Nick who uses his hands for much more than creating toys in his workshop. Meeting Santa Claus for many children is a time-honored tradition, a magical moment to sit on his lap and whisper in his ear their wish lists for Christmas.
Do you like that tree over there?
And now, across the country, thanks to a growing number of Santas who use American Sign Language, deaf and hearing impaired children are able to delight in the same memorable experience as their peers. This signing Santa in Denver, who's also deaf, knows just how these children feel, sharing this story from his own childhood.
And one time, we went to visit with Santa Claus. And I saw my three sisters, brother, all laughing, having a great time, chatting with Santa. And then it came my turn. Santa's smile dropped. His face turned blank. And I didn't understand. He was just handing me a piece of paper, and I felt off. Why was I different?
Seeing their children connecting with Santa means a lot to these mothers, too. This mother telling us, no interpreter, just chatting with the kids and making that connection. And for the deaf children, having that direct access to communication with a deaf Santa Claus who uses the same language that the children do is phenomenal.
It's a joy-filled experience for Santa, too.
The glisten in their eyes, we're making their day. They're finally, being able to tell Deaf Santa Claus what they want. And for me, it's such a blessing.
The magic of inclusivity. I'm Lindsay Davis. David, right back here tomorrow. I'll see you on GMA. Good night.
Thank you for making World News Tonight with David Muir, America's most watched newscast.